Tillerson on Trump's commitment to American values. The president speaks for himself. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said President Donald Trump speaks for himself when asked about the president's values Sunday. Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace cited a recent United Nations committee on eliminating racial discrimination, which slammed the Trump administration without naming it for failing to unequivocally denounce racist violent events and demonstrations. Trump was criticized in the aftermath of the Charlottesville violence, saying there were fine people on both sides, as well as saying both sides carried blame for the bloodshed there. He defended himself during a raucous rally Tuesday in Phoenix, saying it was actually fake news that was giving a platform to white supremacist groups. Does that make it harder for you to push American values around the world when some foreign leaders question the president's values? Wallace asked. Chris, we express America's values from the State Department, Tillerson said. We represent the American people. We represent America's values, our commitment to freedom, our commitment to equal treatment of people the world over, and that message has never changed. And when the president gets into the kind of controversy he does and the UN committee responds the way it does, it seems to say they begin to doubt whether we're living those values, Wallace said. I don't believe anyone doubts the American people's values or the commitment of the American government or the government's agencies to advancing those values and defending those values, Tillerson said. And the president's values, Wallace asked? The president speaks for himself, Chris, Tillerson said. Are you separating yourself from that, sir? Wallace asked. I've made my own comments as to our values, as well in a speech I gave to the State Department this past week, Tillerson said, referring to remarks where he condemned bigotry and hatred. Tillerson's response drew attention online for not saying clearly that Trump represented American values. Do you see what I'm saying? Rex Tillerson asked by Chris Wallace if the president speaks for American values on race. The president speaks for himself. Whoa! Pretty big moment at Fox News Sunday. Wallace asked Tillerson if Trump represents U.S. values. Tillerson, the president speaks for himself. The president speaks for himself. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson on whether Trump represents American values to the world. Let's take a quick listen. You see, he wasn't saying that. Listen.
Finally, and I've got a little over a minute left, the controversy over the racial protests in Charlottesville and the president's response to it has become an international issue. A UN committee this week criticized the Trump administration for, quote, its failure at the highest political level to unequivocally reject and condemn the racist violent events and demonstrations. And here was the president in Phoenix this week talking more about the media than he was about the neo-Nazis and the Klan. Here he is.
The only people.
But the neo-Nazis and the Klan he's talking about, what about Antifa? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how biased? And watch.
Giving a platform to these hate groups is the media itself. And
absolutely, absolutely, and I agree.
Does that make it harder for you to push American values around the world when some foreign leaders question the president's values?
Chris, we express America's values from the State Department. We represent the American people. We represent America's values, our commitment to freedom, our commitment to equal treatment of people the world over, and that message has never changed.
And when the president gets into the kind of controversy he does and the UN committee responds the way it does, it seems to say they begin to doubt whether we're living those values.
I don't believe anyone doubts the American people's values or the commitment of the American government or the government's agencies to advancing those values and defending those values.
And the president's values?
The president speaks for himself, Chris.
Are you separating yourself from that, sir?
I've made my own comments as to our values as well in a speech I gave to the State Department this past week.
This is
Do you see? He didn't stick up for Trump. He distanced himself. So it seems like he's another swamp creature, and the UN is getting involved in our business. The UN has no business in our business. This is disturbing, to say the least. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.